Hello everybody, it's AO from AOCan again, and today we are continuing our 2D top-down tutorial series. So, we left off in the last part. We started getting our town layout done, and as you can see, a lot has changed since the end of the last video. I went ahead and I just prettied everything up to my liking. The roof and the windows were not originally in the asset pack. I quick put those together and just threw them on top. And then I also ended up buying the full version, which is actually discounted right now. So if you want to go ahead and go along and do that yourself, you can. It's not my asset pack. I'll link it in the description here. Just so if you wanted to follow along, you can. And if anyone comments saying they need the roof or the windows to continue on with the tutorial, I can go ahead and send that their way. And then, yeah, so if you followed along last video, we were putting together a level layout, and from that layout, I dotted a couple of things around, like hidden chests. So there's a guy right here, one right here. And you can go ahead and do that too if you want. It's just the item we made previously in the series, and you just dot them around as a separate game object. But today we are going to be making the script that is actually going to move our player from inside of our little hut to the town. And I'm not going to do it in a very pretty way. We can pretty it up later. But we're going to focus purely on the mechanics of it, which is just going to be having a little interaction window pop up. We're going to press the E key, or the interact key, and that will teleport us to our town. And we're going to set that same interaction system up for a couple of things. The asset pack had this as part of it, so I figured it'd be cool if we made like little notes that if you press E, you can bring up a little note. We can read that, and we'll also do that for other doors. Same for maybe the signs. With the signs, might just have a little pop-up text. We'll see. And then, last but not least, we have this little hole up here, and I was thinking that can be the way the player gets into the main bit of our game, and we can set up a little underground section and say, oh, they're going through a cave, and each floor is going to be randomly generated. Pretty similar to the Stardew Valley cave, if anyone's familiar with that. How you go down a floor, it's a set layout, but it'll generate random enemies and random items on that. We probably won't even do like the set layout. It'll be a randomly generated layout, but we'll be doing something similar to that. Yeah, but if you need any other help or instructions getting your town looking pretty, let me know. But I'm going to focus more on the mechanic side of things today. And part of the mechanic side of things is you can see that my player can walk in front and behind trees. And in your current game settings, that won't be able to happen. So, to make sure that your player can walk both in front and behind objects, you just have to go into Edit, Project Settings, and then if you go into Graphics, and if you are on the not Universal Render Pipeline, the standard 2D project that we set up in the beginning, it should look something like this, and you can see Transparency Sort Mode, and we're going to click Custom Access. And then to sort things, we're going to use the y-axis, because in two-dimensional space, we're going to use a higher y value as behind and a lower y value as in front. So all you have to do is, originally it'll look like this, with having a 1 in the z and a 0 in the y. You just want to go ahead and switch those two values around, and you'll get a scene that will sort itself by which objects are in front and which objects are behind, so you can do some cool stuff with your character like this. And there's a little bit of a nuance with that, in a way, just being, if you look at all of my sprites, if I click into the sprite editor here, you'll see that all of their pivots are going to be at the bottom of the sprite. That's what this little circle is. And that's just so that the Unity engine will like sort it properly, because it grabs the Y value of the origin, not the sprite. Or yeah, the origin is the sprite, so yeah. But it grabs the Y value of that origin and sorts it by that. So make sure to have that at the bottom if you want it to sort properly. And if your sprites aren't all at the bottom automatically, you can go to slice and do the same slicing method you did before. Just set the pivot to bottom and then hit reslice. And you could either delete existing, safe, or smart. You can just read this little Q-tip that will help you do it properly. So moving forward, you can probably tell I'm out of breath. I have a really stuffy nose right now, but that's all right. Let's get going with this. So first thing we're gonna need to do is go into our scripts folder, and we're gonna go into our player controller. And we set this up a long time ago to have just the player movement and the player swing. And we're finally gonna add on a little bit, and this is gonna be our action key. And let's see, I have been doing controller setup for this as well, so it's right trigger on the gamepad. But anyway, I'm gonna hit the listening button, which is behind this broken UI bit. It's this little gray box behind. You can hit that and hit the E key, and then that'll pop up, and then it'll autosave. I'm gonna turn that off really quick just to speed this up a little bit. Add another binding, and the interaction key on our gamepad can be the A button for Xbox, which would be the south button, just the closest button to the player. And then we'll hit autosave. Oh, cracked my knuckles there. And we can X out of that because that will update automatically. And we can go into our little door now, and we can see we already have that box collider set up for it. And I'm actually gonna lower that down to about there, I think, just so it pops up a little bit sooner. And I'll hit overrides, apply all. I'm gonna do that both ways, I think. And then you can see we have this trigger game action script still, so we're gonna set up a new game action. But before we do that, we need to do a little bit of editing. So I'm gonna hit the back door, I'm gonna right click, go down to UI, and I am going to create a new canvas. And this canvas traditionally is just gonna overlap the one that we have up here. That is not what we want. So we're going to go to world space, and I want to go back down into our door, and we're going to say our canvas is going to be zeroed in on this, and it's just going to be, we'll do a 10 by 10 and just see how big that is. And that's still freaking massive. So we could do maybe a 5 by 5. And still feeling really big. I think 3 by 3 should be fine for this. And we're gonna right click, go back down to UI, and click image. And the image is 100 by 100. But to fix that, we can just scale it down. So go over to scale, go to 0.1 on all of those. And I'll shrink it down a good bit. And the width is still 100 by 100, and that's not what we want. So let's make it like 20. I like 30, I think. Maybe like 30 by 10. And you can see it's currently behind our door. And to fix that, we just need to go to sorting layer, and we're going to add a sorting layer. And these are all just sorting layers I have set up from making the town work properly. I have a different sorting layer for the wall, different sorting layer for the window, different sorting layer for the roof, what's above the roof. But anything you want to work with the player moving behind and back and forth needs to be on the same layer. Just keep that in mind. So the player and the objects you want to move behind and in front of need to be on the same layer. But anyway, I'm going to add a new sorting layer, and I'm going to name it UI, and I'm going to throw the canvas onto the UI layer. And you'll see that is very bright white right now, and it's honestly just looking a little too big still. That looks a little bit better, I think. But we're gonna take that opacity, we're gonna lower it down a little bit, maybe down to like 15, maybe 20, just so it's an actual visible pop-up. And I think I'm gonna make it yellow for why not, adds a little bit of urgency. I don't really like that color actually. Let's do see if I can find a better yellow. We'll just stick with it. It's fine. I'm just gonna change mine to yellow. You don't have to do that, but personal preference. And then I'm gonna add some text, and then once again our text is massive, so we're gonna need to shrink it down to that 0.1 size, and we're gonna type E to how do we want to do this? Press E to flip it. No. We honestly could just say E. Or that's how you spell interact, right? I think so. I don't know. Bad spellings never stopped me before. Dyslexia wins again. Anyway, I'm gonna throw it in. No, I'm not gonna throw it in bold. Bold looks bad. Yeah, I'll just do classic font anyway. And it's just gonna say E to interact, and we're gonna enable and disable this game object. By just doing this when the player walks up to it and when the player leaves. So can make a new component, and we're gonna throw that on our door, and I'm going to name this enable disable GA. Yeah, I like that. And we haven't done this in a while, so just a little refresher. I throw GA on the end of the script to say that is a game action. Game actions are the little snippets of code that we're using to trigger a bunch of events that we want to happen. So I'm going to open up our enable and disable GA, and it'll be pretty simple. Just got to do a couple of quick things. Once this loads, my Visual Studio always takes forever. There we go. Oh, that was... was that game? This game? Yeah, it was. Okay. Sorry, I'm also starting a new side project just for funsies. Anyway, game action. We just have to change that to game actions to say that our GA inherits from game actions, saying that we can use everything that's in our game action class. And then we're going to say action, or override action, override D action, And we're gonna say we need a new serialized private field, a private game object. And we're gonna say game object, because this is just gonna be the game object we're enabling and disabling. So we're gonna see game object dot set active true, and inside of D action we're gonna do the opposite and set it to false. And if this works the way I want it to, that should be all we got. Should be all we need to do. So we're just gonna drag our canvas down to here, and we're gonna drag enable game action into here, and we're gonna enable this toggle. And that should do, yeah. Well, I mean, we'll find out in a second if it does what I want or not, and if not, we can take a look at it. But I'm going to grab our player and go ahead and scooch him over here and hit play, and you see that when we walk into the door we're interacting, and when we walk away we're yeah, we can't interact. So yeah, and we'll set up the same thing for like if we want to interact with the note, or we can even set it up for the chests. I like the idea of the chest being automatic just for quicker gameplay, but I also like the idea of having the option. So with this setup, we can go into our canvas, click onto that, and we're going to need a new script, and we're going to name this, oh, it's a good one. Move player. Yeah, move player, that's fine. Transition player, move player, whatever, something of the sort. It's just gonna be the thing that moves us. So in here we're gonna need to do a couple things. Okay, I'm gonna open up our player movement script for reference for a second here, just because we need this chunk of code, make sure we're doing it right. I just need this line right here, input action callback context, because it's such a random piece of code. But anyway, we're gonna need to say using Unity Engine input system. Not there. Using Unity Engine input system, and then we're gonna say private. Gonna need a serialized field, private transform, and this is gonna be target location. This is where you're going to be teleporting our player, and then we're going to need I think that's all we need. Yeah, so we're gonna need private void on enable and on disable. And we will also need a private void teleport player. And we're just gonna say find object of type player movement, we have to declare a game object variable, technically, or temporarily is what I meant. And we're going to say player, and then we're going to say dot game object. And then we're going to say player dot transform dot position is equal to target location dot position, and that should teleport our player. And then in here we're going to need to subscribe to the player. Oh shoot, nope, I did forget one thing. That is what I forgot. Okay, so we're gonna need a private void awake. We're also gonna need a private player controller, and I'm gonna name it PC. I don't remember what I named it in the player. Oh, I also named it PC here. Cool, keeping consistent. So I'll do it in all caps here too as well. And we're gonna say PC dot, our PC equals new player controller. And then we have to do PC dot enable. We did this in the very beginning as well when we were setting up our player movement. And we just have to do this because by default it's not enabled. If we didn't enable it, it wouldn't work the way we want it to. So yeah. And then we're going to say PC dot player dot action dot performed plus equals teleport player. And then that is why I copy and pasted that line from the player movement. I just didn't want to remember what it was for the syntax, but it's input action dot callback context, and then you can name it whatever you want for the variable name. And then down here we need to do the same thing. And that should be all good. We'll see how that works. So we'll need to make a new child object, and I'll just create an empty object. I'm gonna name this target position, so target pause, and then I'm gonna scooch it over to the outside of the player's house, like right there. And I'm gonna set our target location equal to target pause, and we'll see how that works. So eat interact, and we get teleported. And we'll obviously need to set up something for the way back as well, but with that going, we have exactly what we want. And you'll see if we're pressing E right now, it's not going to do anything because our pop-up isn't enabled, and you can see that we're doing this on enable and on disable. So even if we walk into it, walk out, it's not going to do it still. It'll only do it when that pop-up's up. And that way we don't get any weird fancy someone presses E while they're fighting some monsters and gets teleported situations. So we got that one set up and going, and I'm just going to move all my scripts into this folder to stay organized. And we're going to need to do a very similar thing with the other objects I wanted to get set up. So that was for moving house to town. So let's do a enemy spawn, because why not? So I was thinking, since this is our tutorial area, we are going to have a little demo fight right here, so we can set up that. So I have a interactable, and I named it spawn point, and it's just this little skull. It's in the paid pack. I don't know if it's in the free pack or not. I can check here. It'd be an art, it'd be an objects, and then it definitely might be. It might not be too. If it's not, it's not necessary to have the art aspects to learn the coding side of things, but if you'd prefer to, you can either go purchase that or you can make it yourself. So yeah. So we're gonna need a new game action, or actually no, we're gonna need the same enable and disable game action, and I'm going to actually copy and paste our canvas from here just by hitting Control C, and then I'm going to go to spawn point, hit Control V, and drag it on there. I'm going to set the position to 0, 0, and you see if we enable it, same thing happens now, and we have that here as well. So real quick, I just want to see. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing, silly me. Hello? There we go. So I have a circle collider 2D on this. It's interesting, I've been using box colliders for everything else, I think. Oh, I remember now. Okay. The reason I did it as a circle collider is because I wanted it to be in a bigger area. And I'm going to move this up a little bit. I'm just going to say 1. And I'm going to change the text on it to fight E fight. And I'll change the font size to like 25 maybe. Let's see where it cuts off. I think it was 27. Yeah. So I'll just do E to tutorial fight. And on our canvas, instead of doing move player, we're going to say spawn enemy. And we're gonna need a pretty similar setup, and I'm honestly thinking we can do this in a little bit of a better way here. So before we continue, we're gonna do something similar to what we did to our game actions, and we're going to make a new class, and this is gonna be our interactable class. So just make a new empty script, name it interactable, click into that, and for a reference, I'm going to go to our door canvas, and I'm going to click into here. And basically, we're going to do all of this just in here. That way we don't need to do it every time. So we're going to say all of this in here. And we're gonna say we are using Unity engine .input system, and we are going to say still need these. We're just gonna do it a little bit differently here. So we're gonna end up changing the script we just made too, but that's all right. We're gonna make a private void, and it's going to be interact. And we're gonna point at interact. And it's gonna be a private virtual, or not private either, it has to be public. Oh my goodness. And we can throw this in there. And there we go. And we're going to say that this inherits now from interactable. And now we can actually just do public virtual void, public virtual void, and public virtual void. I believe it's virtual. I can check really quick. If we just look for our game action class, yep, virtual void. That is correct. Cool. So now that this is all public virtual voids, and we need a public player controller, we're going to go into here and we're going to say override void and we're just going to say base.awake. So by saying base.awake, we are always going to be doing what is in the interactable awake. So it'll do this in our new script, which is what we want. So yeah. We also need to make this, we don't need this anymore actually. We'll still need target location because that's specific to our move player interactable script. But we'll need to do that, and then we can actually get rid of this and say base dot on enable. I'm going to say on enable or on disable, and we'll see. Nope. I was just curious if it autofill it with our other thing in mind, but it does not. That's all right. And we'll do base dot on disable, and then I'm really quick just gonna copy and paste what we had in here, and I'm gonna say override interact. And in here, we're not going to do the base, we're going to be doing this instead. And I did these really silly. This is override, not virtual. That's alright, that's alright. And with that, we'll have the same script, but we'll be doing it in a lot better of a way. So we can actually just copy all this, and we'll want to go into that new script that we were just about to make, which is the spawn enemy. And we're going to copy this, and we're going to say this also inherits from interactable. And that'll make our code a lot happier. And we're going to say same thing, so override interact. And we just need to say instead of our private transform, we're going to need a private game object. And I'm going to make this an array. You'll see why I'm making it an array in a second here as well. And I'm going to say in this enemies to spawn. I actually turned caps lock on. That's alright. So inside of here, we're going to be doing for each. No, we'll just do a for loop. for int I enemies spawn length instantiate, which is a new thing that we're using. I don't think we've talked about this prior to now. Instantiate is Unity's way of creating a game object during runtime. Runtime is just while you're playing the game. So instantiate is what you're going to use to spawn in your objects. So here we're going to say instantiate enemies to spawn I, and then personally this is how I like to do it. Everybody can do it differently, but I'm going to do mine this way, and that is going to be transform dot position, and then quaternion, or nope, it's going to be this dot or game object dot rotation dot transform dot rotation, and that's just going to make sure our enemies have the correct rotation as well. And you can do quaternion dot identity here instead. And that'll do the same thing. It just has a little bit different meaning. Quaternion dot identity will do the rotation of your prefab, whereas this dot transform dot rotation will do the rotation of the game object that's spawning in the enemies. So you'll say transform dot position, and then I'm gonna do plus random dot range. Oh shoot! Need a new vector 2. Actually, it's vector 3, and that is going to be random dot range, and that is going to be between -2 and 2. And then our y, which sorry, I've been working in 3D all day, so working in 2D's throwing me off now. If I raise this by 1, what happens if I raise this by 1? Nothing. Okay, cool. Just had to double check. So instead we're gonna do random range here, and then we're gonna say 0. So what this will do is our things will instantiate in a random spot each time, according to this, give or take. So I'm actually, honestly, 2 is kind of a big number for a smaller scale, so we'll do 1. But so what this is going to do is go through our array of enemies to spawn, and we're going to instantiate all of them in a slightly random position around our spawn location. So I can go back over to our spawn point and click onto our canvas, and I'm going to get rid of target position because that's for the other script. And we're going to open our enemies to spawn, and this is why we needed to make prefabs. You can see I have a bunch of prefabs of all our different objects that we're going to make. We have our spawn point, we have our player item, our follow enemy. We have a prefab of our doors, so we can set up doors in other places that are going to do the exact same thing. But today we're going to do the spawn point, and then we can get to the sign too, because the sign's basically what we have done already with just these. So anyway, just drag our follow enemy, and then I'm going to do 3 little slimies. And I'm also going to click into our follow enemy, and I'm going to say they have 1 health. And that's just going to make them a lot easier to kill. And they're going to do 1 damage still, so that's fine. Honestly, I think I'm going to lower that to even like 0.5 damage. Our slime guys are going to be pretty pathetic. But then again, this is a tutorial fight, so we can eat it, interact, and we'll walk over, grab this little chest, maybe, chill out by the bench, walk downtown. And I was thinking here is where we would talk to someone. It'd probably be like a shopping area. And this is where we could upgrade our swing to do more damage, or we could run a bit faster. But you can see our tutorial fight, and I forgot that we kind of want to probably turn that canvas off. But anyway, you'll see that. Huh? I am so confused as to why our player is taking damage right now. We do need to add this to our trigger game actions, so that's part of the problem. But why are we taking damage? Default layer untagged. Huh. Oh, B check player. That's why. Okay. The way we have our health script right now is we need to make sure that we have that check player checkbox set. So anyway, with that silliness averted, we can walk on over to our spawn point. And I know it'd be faster if we just set our player up here, but we're showing off our cool hard work. The variable game object of enable disable GA has not been assigned. That is also my bad. So inside of our spawn point, we just got to drag our game action down into here. And maybe some of you guys picked up on that before I did, but yeah. And then I'm honestly going to go ahead and click apply all for that. And I'm also, I was just talking about showing off our hard work. We don't need to show our hard work 3 times. So plop our player down over there. And tutorial fight. Are our slimes... Our slimes are definitely just a little hidden right now. So if I go into our follow enemy and go into our enemy sprite, you'll see that we are currently on default. And what layer is our player on right now? Player sprite. We are on player. Okay. So we need to move our enemy over to our player layer. And that should fix up our issues here. We can throw them on 0 now too, because the auto sorting. I have my auto sorting set to layer player. So now, there we go. We have our slime guys. And if you remember, this is their idle state that we have them in. And to change that, we just need to set them into attack mode. And we got some angry slimes. And so, you know, they'll pummel us up, and that's alright. And yeah, so we can also just keep going, because right now we don't have a limit on that, and it's a tutorial battle. It's not going to give us any money or anything. But yeah. And you can see that our slime health bar from before isn't showing. And that's because we just need to move our sorting layer to UI. And that'll be correct now. We can say order in layers 2 so it's above things as well. And then should get our nice little health bars. Nice. And I'll turn on their chasing. And we'll want to turn that on by default. So we'll change that in their prefab as well. But see that we're smacking them up and killing them. And we can honestly set up their killing animations quick if we wanted to. But I think we might save that for next video just because it's not on the same topic as the one we're currently working on. And you'll see I have my stuff all organized very interestingly. But that's how I like my stuff, so that's alright, that's alright. You have our overrides applied all there. So let's move on next to, let's do the sign, because that is very, very simple. Move over to whatever sign is our first one in order. We're gonna say your is trigger collider. And we're gonna make you a little bit bigger. and turn your offset to back what it was. And then I'm also going to want another box collider, 2D, and I'm gonna add this like 0.4. Oh, that's the wrong direction. 0.4, and do it like that. The outside collider is the one that's actually going to be turning on and off our stuff, and then the inside collider is the one that our player's going to bump into, just so it is a physical sign still. But anyway, we can just go into trigger, our game action trigger, check both of our boxes the same way we have been, do GA, because that'll pull up all of our GAs. We can click enable, disable GA, drag that on in there. We can go to our back door and we can click on our canvas, copy, and paste that into there. And then this canvas is not going to need the move player or the target position. We just need our text. So I'm going to do something like this. And then since it is a sign, we can maybe make, not that, make this like, maybe I like the 25. Maybe we're going to make it taller. Not by that much. And then we can set the position to like 4. Nope, 3, 2, 1. 0.6. Working at a small scale makes everything very touchy. So anyway, and then we can just write in what we want our sign to say. And this guy looks like he's got like a little keg brewery going on, so we could say maybe say Appletown Pub. And I don't even think we need our image to be that tall, to be honest. And we can move it back down a little. And there we go. And I named it Appletown just because apple trees everywhere. But yeah. And we can just hit override, apply all. And now by default, all of our signs will have that. I mean, it makes it easy to see where they're at, but I should probably turn that off. And apply all again. And I want to move down to our other sign and say this one will be Appletown Merchant. I don't know, bro. Spelling's hard. I think that's how you spell merchant. Yeah. And we'll do that. And we get our sign all up and running. And with that done, we should have a nice little pop-up come up here. Oh, no, same thing. Me being silly, we just need to go here and drag the canvas down here. We should be able to hit overrides, apply all real quick, just see if that applied it to this one as well or not. It did. Nice. Cool. Does this still say? Nice. Cool. Alrighty. So we have those done. I don't think we're gonna set up the text object today. I want that to be more of a story thing. I don't know. We might honestly make this like a save point rather than a text object too. Save points are kind of outdated though, so I don't know if we'll even do that, but we might scrap them all together. We'll see. Might do the same thing as the sign. But our secret tunnel is actually just going to be the same thing with the move player script. We're going to move the player into tunnel area. And then from there, we're going to be either creating a new scene And then from that new scene, making the layout, or we're just going to keep the player in the same scene but generate the layout around them. We'll see. But we can go to our secret tunnel. And I set one up over here too, because I thought it'd be cool if we had a quick travel way over to here. So I'm going to copy basically everything from the back door, move it onto secret tunnel, and hit apply all. And then I'm going to say this is an is trigger. You're going to need B toggle, all that jazz. We're going to need move player. Drag that into action. Oh. No. Move players on this. Silly me. Nice. So we just need to drag our... Oh, enable, disable. That's what I was doing. There we go. Drag our enable, disable game object into here. And drag our canvas down here. Apply all. And then we'll need to do that for both secret tunnels. So for now, the secret tunnel's target position. Yeah, well, I mean, that works. We'll have you go somewhere into the void. And then this secret tunnel's target position can be behind the apple tree right here. I think that works out kind of fun. And you see that we walk through our town and we have a little bit more of a lively area now that there's more things the player can interact with. Got little signs, a hole, and our canvas was obviously not in the right spot for that. So let's see where our canvas is right now. I'm just gonna do that and overrides, apply all, move our player back down here, gonna turn off the canvas on our secret tunnels, apply all, and then, oh goodness, I seem to be a little stuck. So just moved our target position back to down there. Move it back to our apple tree. And then that one's fine. I think that is all good. And then eventually each of these doors we're gonna need a little house for. And I think I will work on that off screen again, just because it's stuff we already did in a previous video making this one, so I'm gonna do something similar for these three. This one I don't think we'll be able to go inside just because it's back facing and it'd be awkward. This is the player house though, so we'll probably be able to go inside that one. I don't know, we'll see. Might be able to go inside both, depends on how I feel. But yeah, I think I'm going to call it there. And before I end off the video, I just want to say a really big thank you to everyone that watched the previous video. The previous video did the best out of everything I've put out so far, so I really appreciate it. All of the likes and subscribes from that was very uplifting and motivating, so I really appreciate that. And I hope this video does as well as the last one. But with that, thank you guys for watching. I hope you learned something new. Or maybe able to gain something to put in your own game. But have a great night.